Yes, sir. Today's topic is light emitting diodes, LEDs, which are actually working on the principle of spontaneous emission of the photons in this domain, optical domain. Yesterday we discussed about the concepts, two concepts, direct and indirect band gap. So two kind of radiations are occurring. I have discussed about that. So the electrons which are making a jump from the conduction band to the valence band are giving away their energy. That is exactly what the reverse thing is happening with respect to the electrons which are moving or jumping from valence to conduction band. When they want to move from valence to conduction, they need to absorb the energy. If they want to come from conduction to valence back, they have to emit the energy, the form of photons. Because of the variation in the energy levels in the conduction and valence bands, in case of indirect band gap materials, it is clearly visible in the figure that on one side the energies will be added and another side it will be decreased by subtraction. So they are emitting the photons, that is actually known as a radiation. So the problem with conventional PN junction diode is it is a homojunction thing. So on one side we got a P and another side N, like that, with the variation of the uh, doping profiles will be having different electrical conduction characteristics. So that is a main aspect here. So he is telling the problem with the conventional PN diode is a carrier confinement problem. So what do you mean by the carrier confinement? For that, I will be taking the help of this figure. Now we know that the LED is working on the spontaneous emission. If you go back to this one here, let us try to understand this confinement problem with these two figures. So two kind of points are contributing for this problem. So the working principle of the LED is spontaneous emission is required. Means, so how the light is emitted in case of light emitting diode? It is what is telling, it is depending on the one thing is the number of electrons falling to the valence band and they are recombining, then light will be liberated. Okay. So the photon emission is not this is that is a radiation, that is not the light, that is a radiation leakage that it is showing no here on side E in D E N E P H indirect and this the pH are they are added on one side and they are subtracted on the other side. Momentum of this photon energy is more and less in different directions. So that is a radiation leakage of we are losing the information. So E in D is nothing but indirect band gap energy and EPH is nothing but photon energy of the EPH. So phonon, that is phonon energy of EPH. Okay. So phonon when you are getting, so this phonon we are getting in case we discussed about the non-linear scattering. So in one of the particular discussion, we came across this the generation of the phonon from the photons. Photons are converted to phonons and scattering photons. Where we discussed in one of the type of dispersions it came across. Okay, one of the type of the dispersions. So there in the modulating frequency of the modes is going to divide uh, your intensity modulated wave into remodel. It will allow this intensity modulated light to undergo remodulation and thereby dividing it into upper and lower sidebands, and thereby it is leading to the conversion of photons into phonons and scattered photons. So that is coming here, the phonons energy EPH, that somehow we are injecting here in the conduction band electrons. So that's why you can see the energy levels in the conduction band is less because of the less presence of the electrons, because they are jumping here. We need to inject the electrons here. If at all, if you want more electrons to jump and reach the valence band, and more recombination happens and more light will be generated. So that is a major problem, major key issue with the LED. LEDs. So because of this emission problem, spontaneous emission, of course it is happening spontaneously, but it is not up to the mark, up to the our requirement, up to the level, our level. So it has this limitation. So that is a carrier confinement problem here. So coming to this problem, this figure here. So from this figure, we made one point clear that if you want my LED to liberate more, emit more light, I want more electrons to jump. Okay, it means I need to push more electrons into the conduction band. They are jumping, recombining in the valence band with the holes and generate or emitting the light. That is one aspect. While doing so, of course, we are getting the light now. Okay, so light you can see the figure here. The light generating and guiding the region. Okay, light is going like this. With respect to the fiber, now we're discussing now. Okay, so the core is there here and the surrounded by the cladding. Cladding is acting like a confinement material. This is the LED facet, the mouth or the face. So what is telling? The heading of the figure you can see only the light falling within a cone. So cone angle we discussed, no, the defined the first model. Numerical aperture, cone, that one. Only the light falling within a cone, in this cone, defined by critical angle. It must be defined by the critical angle. So the light coming from the LED, because now we are discussing LED. We are talking about the present discussion is concerned with the light rays coming from the LED. That is one of the optical source. As the optical source we are discussing here. Okay, the light rays what you are seeing here, they are outsourced from the LED, all the way from the transmitter. So only those light rays which are falling with the critical angle making the cone will be emitted from the optical source. This is very important thing. That's why it is becoming a coherent. And this condition will also become a limitation for the low power or the efficiency for the LED. Of course, it is a more coherent because of this condition, because only those rays which are falling with the cone within the cone made by the critical angle are allowed to emit, responsible for the coherency of the LED, but with a limited quantum efficiency or the power. So this is actually called the carrier confinement problem. So where the carrier is confining here, because only the light falling within the cone made by the critical angle is allowed to exit from the LED facet. Coherent light, it is generative. What's about the remaining rays are confined to these layers? Carrier confinement problem. So the problem because the it is becoming the reason not contributing for the emitted light waves, but on the other hand we want coherency. That's why they are not we are not allowing it to contribute and thereby reducing the quantum efficiency or the light efficiency, photon efficiency. So this is the problem with the normal PN junction diode because LED is actually nothing but our which is activated by the light. Sorry, mm, injecting electrons in the conduction band. Normal PN junction diode itself will be there, conventional PN junction, but now the working will be different. We have to inject electrons in the conduction band so that we can let this spontaneous emission to occur and we'll get the light. That is one thing. After getting the light rays, will allowing only those light rays which are falling within the cone made by the critical angle, thereby creating the carrier confinement problem, thereby reducing the power or the efficiency. So that's why you can see the range. It has been quoted here. So this one, it is in the range from 1 to 1.3 kT, K bulb constant, the T temperature, absolute temperature. So that is very low energy we are getting, but the energy of the emitted photons is roughly equal to the band gap energy of the semiconductor material, this band gap energy, which gives much wider spectral line width. Here, if you, with this third figure, you can understand. Electrical bandwidth is exactly 0.707, that is minus 3 dB, it is falling, but optical bandwidth because of the photons. So because the energy what we are getting from these emitted photons, so emitted photons, not the photons residing in the LED. Try to make the point clear here. I am talking about sorry, the energy of the photons which are emitted after falling in the cone governed by this critical angle. That is roughly equal to the band gap energy of the semiconductor material, whatever the material you are using, germanium or silicon, which gives a much wider spectral line width. This spectral line width compared to the, so this is called the line width to differentiate the electrical bandwidth from the optical bandwidth. That is known as a line width, light width, line width, like that. Another 3 dB it is falling, zero point 0.5, exactly 50%. So the range from 30 to 40 nanometer for the gallium arsenide devices operating at room temperatures. So this is the first point, guys. We actually wanted to focus for today's discussion of LED, carrying over from the direct or indirect band gap concept. The first thing is the spontaneous emission, how it is happening there, and what problem it is creating here. This photon energy is not the light; it is the radiation or the leakage, the information we are losing. Light will be liberated only when these falling electrons from the conduction band will recombine the holes in the valence band and light will be liberated. More light, we want more recombination or more electrons to jump, or we have to push more electrons in the conduction band. With that attitude, the basic working of this conventional PN junction diode as a basis for LED carrying the homo junctions will create a carrier confinement problem because of this one important condition that letting only those rays which are falling within the cone angle found by the critical angle. Remaining light rays are not allowed, obstructed, creating the problem of carrier confinement. They are confined to the wall, thereby reducing the power or the efficiency of the LED. So normal range of these photons which are emitted from the LED, coherence light, they are contributing in the range from 1 to 3.5 kT. That is very important formula. And thereby they are giving another 3 dB fall because the power will be reduced, but it is giving the larger optical bandwidth or line width compared to the bandwidth that we obtain from the electrical things. A typical example for this line bandwidth will be 30 to 40 nanometer for the gallium arsenide devices at the room temperature. This is all about basic concepts of the LED with the homo junction what they are following. So this one problem, that is a carrier confinement problem, that is contributing from the low contribution for the low power efficiency, can be resolved by sandwiching a thin layer of around zero point 0.1 micrometer between p and n type layers, leading to heterojunction structures. So far we discussed about the p-n junction as the basis for LED having the homo junctions, either p or n or both. But now we are inserting another layer of different characteristics between p and n, leading to heterojunction, a double heterojunction structure. Owing to the carrier confinement problem, we have to reduce that or to increase or enhance the efficiency of this LED. We cannot enhance the LED normal efficiency trademark, that is working on the basic principle of the spontaneous emission. How much it is possible, that much you are dumping in the conduction band. But it depends on how many electrons are its capacity is there, and depends that also depends on the characteristics of the material that you are using to make up that conduction band. So in any optical communication system, the actual requirements or the bit rate actually required are 100 to 200 Mbps, the minimum, the optimal. Optical power in terms of tens to microwatts are actually suitable to be called as optical source. So it's telling the quoting that LEDs are best suited for optical communication because it requires less complex drive circuitry. That is one reason. Complexity is reduced, compact circuitry, and can be fabricated easily with less money. So the problem is carrier confinement that can be reduced to some extent by using heterojunction. We are exploring more in detail about different types of heterojunction based LEDs later. Let us see some of the advantages. Simple fabrication. So fabrication will become much simpler because of its simple design. Two or three junctions. There are no mirror facets, and some structures no stripped geometry. So mirror facets are nothing but we learned that the light will be emitted when electrons will jump to valence and recombine the holes, then light will be liberated in one direction. Okay, LED is liberating the light in one direction with the light rays falling within that cone angle of governed by the critical angle in one direction. What if you want to fed it back? In that case, we want a mirror, which are known as mirror facets here. So no feedback mechanism is there. If it is not there, not required. So requirements are very simple in LEDs. So no mirror facets, no feedbacks are required. No, hence no mirror facets, and no And so simple structures, simple geometry, so fabrication will become much simpler. Cost, the simpler construction of LED leads to much reduced cost. Maintenance is very easy, and reproduction with optimal copies is much simpler with a reduced cost. Reliability, LED does not exhibit catastrophic degradation and has proved far less sensitive to gradual degradation than the injection laser. It is also immune to self pulsation and model noise problems. Okay. So what do you mean by catastrophic degradation? That he is explaining with the help of the comparing with uh, injection laser. Because of the simple design as compared to laser, light activated stimulated emission of radiation. That is laser. This one is a light emitting spontaneous emission. Simple principle compared to the laser. So as far as the structure is concerned between LED and laser, he is telling because of that reason there is no any sudden fall in the production or destruction of the LED when you are going to manufacture it. So when you are manufacturing the LEDs, 10 or 20 or 30-second LED, if you get it, there is no any sudden fall in quality of LEDs. That's what we mean by this. That uh, accounted for its simple design compared to the that of the laser. Because of this, it is immune to some other kind of problems like self pulsation or modal noise problems. So those will focus later. The fourth, the advantage of LED is generally less temperature dependence. So what I mean by this, almost in becoming independent of the temperature. Light output, when you compare with the current, is less affected by the temperature. So try to understand here the amount of light what we are getting, because it is a light amount of light, we want light emitting source, we want more light, more photons compared to the electrons, that is a current, is less affected by the temperature than the corresponding characteristics of the injection laser. So this emission of the photons which are falling within the critical angle, that is a cone, are allowed to emit, that one condition is becoming useful asset for this LED. I think that is becoming more one of the factor contributing for the LED operation to become less dependent on the temperature. And further to go with, the LED is not a threshold device and therefore raising the temperature does not increase and the threshold current above the operating point, hence halt operation. So no question of thresholding, because I think at this instance that one condition what the LED it is following to emitting only those rays which are falling within the cone angle governed by the critical angle. I think that is becoming the major factor in deciding this, making this device to become less dependent on the temperature. This is a key factor you have to analyze and understand here. The fifth advantage, simpler drive circuitry. Due to low drive currents and reduced temperature difference. You can see here how uh, small driving currents to drive this to make this LED active, reduce temperature difference becoming so much advantages. Last one, linearity. Ideally, the LED has a linear light output against current, unlike the laser. This can prove advantages over analog modulation. Sometimes you can see many of the points we are comparing with the laser. So the advantages of LEDs can also be viewed as the comparison, a trade-off between LEDs and laser. So this particular slide, it will give you the glimpse of both advantage, or similarly can also write it as a trade-off between the LED and the laser comparison. So as far as coming to the LED structures, for the fiber transmission applications, LED must have high radiance, brightness of light what we are getting or emitted from the LED should have high radiance. Brightness should be large and high quantum efficiency. So these two are one. The first one, the brightness, it is highly coherent. Optical power, radiance means what? Optical power radiated into a unit solid angle, unit area of emitting surface. That is a cone angle governed by the critical angle. Of course, that may not be having the problem. It is coherent. But the problem with the quantum efficiency, that is a fraction of the percentage of injected electron hole pairs that recombinant radiativity. That is limited by the carrier confinement. So the optical confinement is important for preventing the absorption of the emitted radiation by material surrounding the PN junction. Optical confinement, not carrier confinement. Carrier confinement is happening within the LED, and with this carrier confinement, all those rays falling within the cone governed by the critical angle are emitted, allowed to emit from the LED as a source, emitted light source. After those, once they are emitted, they are entering into the optical fiber. We want those rays to be confined to the wall. That is known as optical confinement. Try to understand here. Optical confinement is different than the carrier confinement. Is important for preventing the absorption of the emitted radiation, emitted light by the material surrounding the plane. Accordingly, how this is happening, optical confinement is happening, is going to decide the quantum efficiency. It depends on the two faces of the coin. How well you are going to avoid that carrier confinement in the LED so that it can allow more light rays to combine in that cone angle. And once they will get the light rays from the LEDs, there is another problem, optical confinement. How well you can make this optical rays to be confined to the wall. In LED, we don't want carrier confinement, carrier to be confined to the wall. But outside LED, light rays we want it to confine to the wall. You see, uh, paradox, paradoxical situation. So this paradoxical situation gives rise to two types of LED structures: homojunctions, and then on homojunctions, single or double heterojunctions. Accordingly, so these structures we'll discuss in the next class.